George Kriza and Pat Ritchie of the Table Group here once again to discuss the fifth dysfunction of a team or temptation of a CEO. Take your pick. And this is a really important one when you think about it, and it has to do with status being a problem. And if we just give this a little thought, it's not hard to comprehend why CEOs would have a problem with status. Even though they hold all the reins in a company, the bottom line is this is the culmination of their life's work. And so, they may have gone to an advanced university and picked up a prestigious MBA. They may have other types of education, a lot of life's experience. They've been working, working, working. Now they got this incredibly great job. It's hard to be humble when you're that good. But why? Why is status such a problem?
Well, it's the impact that it has on the rest of the team. When status becomes the focus, your status as a leader, if your status as a leader is kind of the middle thing, the central thing in your work, then you may not admit it, but it's less about us and more about me. And whenever it starts to become about me, things change. Humility, what you'll see in many of these leaders, they will feign humility. I see it over and over again where somebody is acting as if they're humble, that they that's kind of core to their personality, but it's not. And when people fake humility, it's almost easily seen by anyone. Very few people are fooled by that. And if the look of your office, your parking spot, the location that you have, the hours you can keep, the meetings you don't go to, Pat's most recent book called The Motive is a great place for any person that's a CEO to look at, go, hey, what really drives me? What is the motive behind my leadership? If status and that rewards based, not the responsibility based, but that rewards based role is what you're all about, what's going to happen, status will become key. You'll be the central piece of it, and then others will make decisions to curry favor with you. Now you've already set the table up for, it's not so much about results of the organization, it's about how well are we in the good graces of our leader, because the leader is kind of the central part of everything.
So it just, again, it creates a lot of problems. It sets the wrong tone. And there's
Well,
probably
we become more committed to the CEO than we are to the organization. And so then if you start to make decisions that are just pet projects of a CEO or an organizational president or general manager, then you'll never get the kind of conversation you need inside of an organization, because the fact of the matter is the results of the organization is really what's important. Sadly to say, this status is not just limited to a business leader or a famous athlete. I see it in churches. I see it in nonprofits. Certainly we see it in politics, that status, when the person, the individual, puts themselves above the organization, this is going to create tremendous problems directly into especially how we see results, because it's going to be now not so much about the results as it's going to be about the status and building the status of the leader.
So would you say that a status-centric CEO is more autocratic?
They could be, or they could be so hands-off, laissez-faire, that now they have a very hard time even being measured, because they're like, well, I put that on you, or that was your job to do it. We didn't do it. Remember, at the end of the day, and I often tell this to young executives that are coming up, when you have a P&L responsibility and you carry the burden for a lot of people, that ultimately you're the one that has got to drive those results and make sure they happen. What I find often is that people don't publicly commit to any measurable results. When a CEO does that, now they can kind of live in this place where they don't even have to hold somebody accountable. Or if they don't reach the results, they hold somebody else accountable, and it never comes back to them. So what we would encourage CEOs to do is publicly commit to measurable results and then evaluate your success based on those results alone, not based on how well you're liked or how or you make certain lists. Because with results, again, remember this goes back to inattention to team results. Make results the most important measure of your personal success, or just step down from the job. If your measure of success isn't the organization and the results of the organization, if that's number one, you should leave the job.
And I may be mixing two metaphors here with what I'm going to say next, but in the very opening sequence of the Five Temptations, Andrew, the CEO, had just fired his marketing VP. And when he was being interviewed on the train by, I can't think of the fellow's name, but when he was being interviewed on the train, he couldn't comprehend why it mattered that it was a surprise to his VP of marketing that he was dumped.
Right.
And it's a combination of the accountability argument with the status. And the reason I thought was really interesting was at some level he thought that he didn't need to do it. He was at that level. He was at that level where he hired great people, and didn't they know what they had to do? And didn't his subtle suggestions, wasn't that all they needed? So in a very real way, it was an abdication of being an actual manager. And I think, in my opinion, that's connected maybe first and foremost with this idea of I'm above that. I don't need to do that. My status is so high and you're so good that we don't need to be connected with the performance.
Yeah.
Am I close?
Yeah, you're right over the target. You're exactly right. Pat likes to tell this little, Pat Lancioni, this little story about a CEO that was, or president was going to move up to a CEO or chairman role. Somebody else was going to become president, but he hadn't announced too. Well, one of the executives was going around and telling everybody, look, I'm going to be the next president. I'm going to be the next president. Another executive comes in, private conversation, says the guy, goes, hey, Tony's going around telling everybody he's going to be the next, president of this company. Is that true? And he goes, no, that's not true. He's not going to be the next president. And they go, well, you should let him know that, tell him that, because he's really taking a lot of people, he's really just bothering a lot of people with this. And he goes, I have no time. I don't have enough time to do that. And Pat goes, like, how much time would that have taken? Hello, Tony? Yeah, I just want you to know you're not going to be the next president of this company. Yeah, quit telling people that. Otherwise, you're going to really tick me off. Okay, bye. It doesn't take that long to actually have a conversation with somebody about where they're not, standing up to their the results that they're supposed to have, or the leadership that they're supposed to be showing. You're right. They often feel like they're above that, or they've tried to put that off on a COO or somebody else. But look, when it comes to your executive team, you still have to be able to hold people accountable for the results overall of the team. If you're not, we're really never above managing people that way.
Right, and it is interesting taking a look at the pyramid once again. Results are at the top of the pyramid, and I think that's a really good message to send to everybody in business. Is all the good vibes, all the fun, everything else that doesn't produce the needed results. Ultimately, Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, the rocket needs to fire when I push the button. So,
right.
So very, very important. All right, maybe we'll come back in a minute here, Pat, and take just a few minutes to do a little bit of a review and sum up. But thank you for all of your comments so far, and let's jump into that.